The economy is in a bit of a weird state. Certain sectors are thriving at pre-pandemic levels, while the technology sphere is struggling to maintain the rate of growth it experienced during the pandemic. The result has some economists hopeful that we are on track for a full recovery, while others point to indications that a recession may be on the horizon. Hey, and welcome back to the channel. So if you're new here, welcome. My name is Preston, and I'm a professional recruiter. Recruiting has changed a lot over the past few decades, rather quite quickly in the grand scheme of things. The widespread adoption of the internet opened up brand new avenues for employers to find candidates, and similarly for job hunters to find open positions. But with this in mind, it's important not to stagnate as a recruiter, get complacent, and you could find yourself left in the dust, outpaced by other recruiters who are more flexible and able to continuously revise their strategies. The most recent change to affect the world of recruiting was undoubtedly the pandemic, a topic we'll go into just a moment. The point I'm trying to make here is in order to know where to focus your recruitment strategies up to date, you have to honestly keep a close eye on the overall job market as well as your specific niche. This way, you can adjust your practices and better serve both clients and candidates. The last couple of months, I've been briefly interrupting my regular output of recruiting tutorials in order to cover current events and other news affecting the job markets. I try to break down this news as best as I can so you can better understand how it affects us as recruiters and certainly job hunters and hiring managers among others. It's been a little over a month since the update on the labor economy, so let's see how things have changed. In this video, we're going to cover the US Department of Labor's monthly job report, how it compares to last month's, and how it will affect the future of the labor market and indeed the greater economy as a whole. But before we get started, as always, please consider like, subscribe, click that bell, really means a lot. If you watched my last video on May's monthly job report, you'll already know a little bit about it, as well as some of the ongoing issues our economy is facing as we make our way out of the pandemic. As always, I highly recommend going back to watch the May 2022 State of the Job Economy video for a full picture of how things have changed in the past month. But I know there's new people jumping on every day, so let's do a quick review of the issues the US economy is facing coming out of the pandemic. So long-term viewers will know what's coming. A quick update on the Great Resignation. Surprisingly or not, the Great Resignation continues. This refers to the mass exodus of qualified employees who are leaving their jobs in search of work with better pay, benefits, and flexibility. It was spurred on by the widespread adoption of telecommunication platforms by businesses so they could stay afloat during the pandemic. It showed everyone that it wasn't always necessary to be in an office for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Unfortunately, companies who are requiring a return to office are finding that their employees are leaving to look for remote or hybrid work. In fact, Apple has tried twice to get their employees back to in-person working hours, drawing widespread criticism and even triggering the resignation of the head of their machine learning program. Other companies like Twitter or Airbnb have dedicated themselves to fully remote or hybrid work practices, depending on an employee's role. There are pros and cons to the Great Resignation. On one hand, job seekers have a significant amount of leverage, more than they ever have before, to ask for competitive pay, benefits, and a high degree of flexibility. But on the flip side, companies who rely on in-person workers such as manufacturing plants aren't in the best position to compete with these remote or hybrid roles, and many struggle to hire new workers. Unprecedented inflation. This issue is only one small one among many others that have triggered the steepest inflation we've seen in years. As we attempt to put the COVID-19 pandemic behind us, the economy is in a bit of a weird state. Certain sectors are thriving at pre-pandemic levels, while the technology sphere is struggling to maintain the rate of growth it experienced during the pandemic. The result has some economists hopeful that we are on track for a full recovery, while others point to indications that a recession may be on the horizon. Regardless of where we're currently headed, the result is inflation. In an attempt to cool this rapid inflation, the Federal Reserve has raised interest rates, making it more expensive for businesses to borrow money. Sources report that this has helped somewhat, and we should expect further rate increases in the near future. BLS Monthly Jobs Report. The US Bureau of Labor Statistics Monthly Job Report offers a deep look into the current state of the economy and even allows for accurate predictions to be made about its overall direction. Their data comes from two sources, both households and the employers themselves. Household data. The data gathered from the surveyed households includes a wide variety of data points. The most relevant to us are the unemployment rate, which measures the percentage of the active labor force that is currently unemployed. The labor force participation rate, which measures the percentage of the population that could be considered active in the labor force despite their current employment status. And last, but certainly not least, the number of individuals not in the labor force who want a job. The former two statistics give us the broad overview of the strength of the labor economy. A lower unemployment rate combined with higher labor force participation indicates that a strong potential market for recruiters. Additionally, some recruiters will want to pay attention to the final data point I mentioned, which measures individuals not counted in the unemployment rate due to not having actively searched for work in the previous 4 weeks. This gives us a decent indication of the number of passive job seekers who remain unemployed for a variety of reasons. These potential candidates are hard to reach but especially valuable. Established data. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the data gathered directly from employers is typically more accurate due to a larger sample size, although there are less data points to work with. Payroll employment is the total number of payrolls added that month, a figure which is further broken down by industries. There's also the average hourly earnings and average workweek statistics, which give us a general look at what employers are getting paid versus how long they're working per week. Current events. So now that we reviewed current events and the importance of these monthly job reports, let's finish up by taking a look at the job report itself in June. First, some revisions. The June report begins with a revised payroll count for both April and May, 368,000 and 384,000 respectively. Both of these are decreased from previous estimates and have been adjusted to reflect last-minute changes that occurred before the previous job reports could be updated. Payroll employment jobs created. In the month of June, however, employers reported a total payroll increase of 322,000, blowing away previous estimates in the ballpark of 250,000. The potential remains for this number to be revised, however, so it could be significantly different in the upcoming job reports. We'll be sure to cover that in our upcoming videos. But let's break down that 322,000 by industry. The education healthcare sector was the top job generator in June with 96,000 positions created. Next up is the professional and business services, adding a total of 74,000 positions. Unsurprisingly, leisure and hospitality continue to grow as the pandemic appears to be winding down. The industry created 67,000 jobs in June. Just below that, we have the healthcare industry at 57,000 jobs. The transportation and warehouse industry reports an increase of 36,000 and manufacturing 29,000. The final two industries, information and social assistance, reports a 25,000 and 21,000 payroll increase respectively. Unemployment rate. The unemployment rate has stayed at a consistent 3.6 for the last few months, and June was no different. It should be noted though that there is an alternate unemployment rate that is reported as well. That includes discouraged and part-time employees. This figure actually dropped from 7.1 to 6.7, signaling a positive change. Labor force participation. The percentage of the population that is active in the workforce remains below the pre-pandemic average at 62.2%. This is a 1-point decrease from May's 62.3%. Individuals not in the labor force who want a job. Unchanged since last month, the count of people not currently in the labor force who want a job is a 5.7 million, a bit above the pre-pandemic count of 5 million. These passive employees represent a good chance for recruiters if you can connect with them. Average hourly earnings. The number of average hourly earnings for workers continues to creep up with a 0.3% increase in June. CNBC reports this is a 5.1 increase from 1 year ago, but the peak was in March at an annual 5.6% increase. Average work week. Finally, the last data point we'll cover is the average work week, the number of hours a typical employee works. In non-farming positions, the average work week was 34.5 hours. In manufacturing, the average is 40.3 hours. So this just about wraps up this video on the state of the job economy, but given its current state, I'm sure there is much more to be said. Do you have anything else to add to the conversation? I'd love to hear from you. If you like this video and want to see more like it, please consider like, subscribe, click that bell. Please feel free to follow me also at Preston_Park, as I try my best to also post it daily. Thank you so much again, and we'll see you on the next one.